Hello, students. Welcome back to your geography class. I am Mrs. Jenny Shah, and we start with the next chapter, chapter 5, Natural Vegetation and Wildlife. Have you seen the type of trees, bushes, grasses, and birds around you in parks or on the trees around you? Have you noticed those trees? Have you noticed the birds that come? Are they similar or are they different? India is a vast country, and you can imagine the types of bioforms available throughout the country. Our country, India, is one of the 12 mega biodiversity countries of the world. We have habitat diversity, cultural diversity, and many more diversities. India has high mountain ranges, plateaus, plains, deserts, and we provide a variety of habitats for the plants and animals. Similarly, a number of freshwater and saline lakes, reservoirs, ponds, rivers, and streams, they all provide a variety of habitats for the aquatic plants and animals also. If you look at the cultural diversity, our country envisages vast cultural diversity from Jammu and Kashmir in the north to Kanyakumari in the south, and from West Bengal in the east and to the Thar Desert in the west. Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh, they all represent an array of tribal culture. So, since we have all types of climatic regions, the biodiversity is very, very high. We rank the 10th among plant richness, 11th in the number of endemic species of higher vertebrates, sixth in the centers of diversity and origin of food crops. India is one of the 12 mega diversity nations. It is considered to be the origin of 5,000 species of flowering and 320 species of food plants. And the marine diversity of India is still to be explored. So, our country is one of the 12 mega biodiversity countries of the world because we have 47,000 plant species. India also occupies the 10th place in the world and 4th in Asia in plant diversity. There are about 15,000 flowering plants in India, out of which 6%, which account to up to 6% in the world's total number of flowering plants. Our country also has many non-flowering plants such as ferns, algae, fungi, etc. India also has approximately 90,000 species of animals as well as rich variety of fish in its fresh marine waters. Vegetation is a very general term for plant life. It refers to the ground cover provided by the plants. It is a general term without specific reference to particular taxa, life forms, structure, spatial extent, or any other specific botanical or geographical characteristic. It is broader than the term flora, which refers exclusively to species composition. And what is natural vegetation? Natural vegetation refers to the garment of plants and trees that exist in the area before it is modified by man for activities such as farming, mining, lumbering, and industrial, economic, and urban development. We need natural vegetation because it helps us humans and animals. Because people use natural vegetation for food, building material, etc. Animals such as herbivores use natural vegetation for food. So, this is the difference between vegetation and natural vegetation. Natural vegetation refers to a plant community which has grown naturally without any human aid, and it has been left undisturbed by humans for a very long time. This term is also called as virgin vegetation. Virgin vegetations are purely Indian, are known as endemic or indigenous species. But those virgin vegetation which have come from outside India, they are termed as exotic plants. So, cultivated crops and fruits, orchids, orchards, they form a part of vegetation, but they are not natural vegetation, because natural vegetation has to be natural without any human aid, and it has to be left undisturbed. That means you are not supposed to trim it, you're not supposed to give any pastures, manures, water, nothing. It has to grow naturally, then it is natural vegetation. So the plant community that grows without human aid and has been undisturbed for a very long time is natural vegetation. This is also termed as virgin vegetation. Sorry. Virgin vegetation are of two types: indigenous, endemic, or exotic. Endemic or indigenous plants are the plants that are purely Indian. Okay, they are completely Indian. That means they have not come from outside. They are a part of India. They have grown in India naturally. And exotic plants are the plants that come from outside. Okay, they have come from outside, and so they are termed as exotic plants. The term flora is used to denote plants of a particular region or period. Similarly, the species of animals are referred to as fauna. Plants of a particular region of or plants of a particular period are called as flora, and animals of a particular region or the animals of a particular period are called as fauna. So, flora is the plant life occurring in a particular region or time, and fauna is all the animal life of any particular region or time. Now, we already know that India is one of the 12 mega biodiversity countries of the world, and there is a huge diversity in the flora and fauna of our country also. And this is due to a few factors. Okay, before we go to that, write down these points. Okay, mark these points in your textbook. This is the answer to why is India called a land of mega diversity. 47 India has 47,000 plant species. We have the 10th place in the world and 4th in Asia in the plant diversity. Out of the 15,000 flowering plants in India, not out of them, we find 15,000 flowering plants in India, which account to 6% of the world's total. The country also has many non-flowering plants such as ferns, algae, and fungi. Approximately 90,000 species of animals and a rich variety of fish in its fresh and marine waters. This is the reason India is called a land of mega diversities. Now, which are the factors which are responsible for the huge diversity in flora and fauna? Number one is the land. Number two is the soil. These both fall under relief. And then we have temperature, photoperiod, that is variation in the duration of sunlight, and precipitation. This fall under climate. So the two biggest factors responsible for the diversity in flora and fauna are relief and climate. In relief, the first one is land. Land affects the natural vegetation directly and indirectly. Do you think the type of vegetation found in mountains, plateaus, areas which are dry, areas which are wet are all the same? No. The nature of that land influences the type of vegetation that grows on it. The fertile level of the land is generally devoted to the agriculture. The undulating and rough terrains areas where grasslands and woodland develop, they give shelter to a lot of wildlife. Okay, then let's talk about the soil. Soil also varies from place to place. Different type of soils, they provide basis of different types of vegetation. The sandy soil of the desert supports the cactus and the thorny bushes, and the wet, marshy, deltaic soils, it supports the mangroves and the deltaic regions. The hill slopes with some depth of soil, they have conical trees. So different soils supports different flora and fauna. Talking about the climate, the temperature, that is the character and extent of vegetation are mainly determined by the temperature along the humidity in the air, precipitation and soil. On the slopes of Himalayas and the hills of the peninsula above the height of 915 meters, the fall in the temperature affects the types of vegetation and its growth, and it changes it from tropical to subtropical temperature and alpine vegetation. So, even the temperature of the areas plays a very important role in the vegetation of the area. Photoperiod, that is the sunlight. The variation in the duration of sunlight at different places because of the difference in altitude and latitude and the duration of the day and depending on the season, all this all this play major factors in determining the duration of sunlight. Due to longer duration of sunlight, trees grow faster in summer. So, can you think why the southern slopes in Himalaya region are covered with thick vegetation cover compared to the northern slopes of the same hill? You will find more cover in the southern part of the same hill compared to the northern part. In India, almost the entire rainfall is brought in by the advancing of southwest monsoon. We've just completed this chapter, so you must remember it. And also because of the retreating northeast monsoon, that is from June to September. Areas of heavy rainfall have more dense vegetation as compared to the other areas of less rainfall. Can you think why forests are very important for humans? Forests are a renewable source and they play a major role in enhancing the quality of environment. They modify the local climate, they control soil erosion, they regulate the stream flow, they support a variety of industries, and they also provide livelihood for many communities. Besides, they also offer panoramic or scenic view for recreation. It controls the wind force and temperature, and it also causes rainfall. It provides humus to the soil and shelter to the wildlife. India's natural vegetation has undergone many changes due to several factors such as the growing demand for cultivated land, for the development of industries and mining, urbanization, and overactivity of the pastures. The vegetation cover in India of India in large part is no more natural in the real sense, except in the inaccessible regions like the Himalayas, the hilly regions of central India, and Marusthali. The vegetation of most areas now has been modified, and it has also been replaced or degraded by human capacity. So, your homework for today will be number one, you have to write down in your notebooks why the southern slopes in the Himalayan region are covered with thick vegetation compared to the northern slopes of the same hills, and do a illustration, draw it and depict it. Next is also why the western slopes of the Western Ghats are covered in thick forest and not the eastern slopes. So the same hill, western slope is covered in thick forest and the eastern slope is not. And I want you to give me a reason with the diagram and depict it. And the last thing is, you are going to find out the current forest cover in India. So according to the India State of Forest Report of 2011, the forest cover in India is 21.5%. I want you to find out what is the forest cover in India according to the forest report of 2020, that is last year. Okay, with all this, we have started a new chapter. Start reading it, start preparing. And yeah, also underline the answer, why are forests important to humans? This is there in your textbook. Find out the paragraph and underline all the points. With this, children, I end today's class. Stay home, stay safe, take care, keep learning. Thank you.